Forget about whether the president was a Democrat or Republican. That's not important to me. It's not important to me. The tax cuts that weren't paid for, the war that wasn't paid for, Medicare Part D that wasn't paid for, the bank bailout that wasn't paid for, and then the stimulus package that wasn't paid for. That's why we have a $1.8 trillion deficit today. Here, I just want to give you 3 points on this, and then I'll stop. Here's what I think we need to do. The first thing we got to do is stop digging. When you're at the bottom of a hole, stop digging. And that is why I'm one of the original co-sponsors of a bill in the Senate that we're introducing called the PAYGO legislation that says if you're going to have a new program or you're going to have a new tax cut, you got to figure out a way to pay for it. So that's stop digging. But stopping digging is not going to get us where our kids and our grandkids need to be. And so what I've also introduced is legislation that says we should be managing our government back from a 12% deficit down to a 3% deficit, and after that let's have a conversation about how to get to zero. And what I say is you put a cap in, you sequester the funds above that cap, and then let the administration make across-the-board cuts. Social Security and veterans are the only things that are exempted from that. Now,
why did you vote for the stimulus?
Now, what? With question?
Why did you vote for the stimulus?
I'll take the question. I appreciate it. So the point of this is to say, you know what, there really are unpleasant policy choices that we expect you to make as elected representatives of the people that are in our states. And so that's a way of starting to manage this over time, because you know what happens every time we start to see the deficit come down and we see the economy recover. What we do is spend or cut taxes and not pay for them. We got to get out of that habit. American people want us to get out of that habit. The third piece, and this is the third piece. The third piece is that I think we should, and this is not an idea original with me. The third piece is we should set up a commission like the Base Closure Commission that's bipartisan. There's Republicans, Democrats, and Independents that says here are some choices that you guys can make. And you're going to have to vote it up or you're going to have to vote it down. But it's time for us to begin to manage our government in a fiscally responsible way. Very fair question over here that I want to respond to. I'm not trying to filibuster, but it's a very fair question. Well, then why did you vote for the stimulus package? First of all, let's recall that the stimulus package was about roughly 40% tax cuts and 60% spending.
How much pork barrel?
Hold on. Let's.
Come on, man, shut up.
Who are you talking to?
Easy.
Okay. All right. So let's try to get through this, and we'll be all right in a civil way. Here is where we are as a country right now. Okay, we've come out of a decade where we had too much debt at every single level of our country. Remember when I was talking a minute ago about how median family income went down by $300, the cost of health care went up by 80%, cost of college went up by 60%.
Is he answering the question for you?
We financed that with debt. Consumers went from saving 7% of net income to saving 0. Right? Too much debt at the consumer level. Washington went from having $5 trillion of debt to having $10 trillion of debt. Too much debt at the federal level. These bank holding companies in New York, they weren't even banks, went from being 12 times levered, 12 times debt to equity, to being 25 and 30 times levered. Utterly irresponsible business decisions, unless you imagine that the economy was just going to grow forever. Well, the reason it was growing seemingly forever was that we were going into debt. Now we're in this very difficult time where we're going from this completely overhyped, debt-laden economy to a more normalized and responsible economy. And regrettably, very regrettably, to everybody in this room, including me, the only balance sheet big enough to move us through that without even more dislocation, without an even higher unemployment rate, without even greater depths of depression, is our balance sheet. It's not the government's balance sheet, it's our balance sheet. And we should never be in this position again, and it's the work we're doing on the banking committee to do the re-regulation of these financial institutions that's never going to put us in the idiotic position of saying some bank is too big to fail, which is where we found ourselves here. So the reason I voted for that package, thank you, the reason I voted for the package was that there are times, they're very rare and they're very unfortunate, when the credit market sees up, when the economy essentially stops, where the only thing that's going to give it a jolt was that spending. Is it perfect? No. Does anybody want to see legislation passed in that way again? No. But is it going to start making a difference in the economy? Yes, it will. And as we come, the more important question to me is, as we look back over that record, that includes, you're quite right to bring it up, includes the stimulus package and all those other things I mentioned, what are we doing to make sure we get our fiscal house in order? And that's the most important thing.